guess we'll get started. Thanks for coming. I'm Nick Andrews. I am the founder and CEO of ReviTrage. It's a digital marketing agency that focuses primarily on social and viral marketing. And Tara, introduce yourself.
Tara McCommons. I'm Vice President of Sales and Marketing with LinkConnector, affiliate marketing network, and had the pleasure of working closely with Nick for quite a while in introducing some affiliate relationships.
Great, thanks. So my goal today is, in a pretty brief period of time, to try to cover some basics of social marketing, which is this big nebulous space, but I thought that I could give you a few tips that you can take away, whether you're a large company or a small company, by the end of this, that you can probably implement pretty quickly, like in the next few weeks, and I think it'd be, helpful. So, just going to ask for a show of hands here. And just raise your hand if you've ever heard about a new product or service from the following channels that I'm going to list. So we've got Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Okay. Twitter. Reddit. Pinterest. Deal forums like Fat Wallet and Slick Deals and others. Personal text, email, Facebook, not an ad, just personal Facebook, wall, that type of thing. And then digital marketing forums in the B2B world. So the big thing in common with everything we just listed is there's absolutely no reliance on Google, which is pretty cool. Like, these are channels where discovery is actually happening outside of Google, and you're not dependent on it, which makes them pretty powerful if you can kind of tap into them. And so it's a lot of stuff for a half-hour presentation, but I thought that I'd cover Reddit and Twitter specifically because I've probably done the most work there and found the most success in those two, and they're probably pretty relevant for everybody. So it might be a bit hard to see, but Reddit has become a pretty powerful channel. It's almost, they say they're the front page of the internet, but really they're sort of the long tail of the internet. You could watch a television show the night before and go on the next day, and there's probably a subreddit about that show. There's 1,000 people talking about it. And you extrapolate that out, you've got a lot of content subreddits that, if you're doing skincare, there's skincare addiction, 200,000 subscribers. Personal finance, 9 million. Web hosting, 12,000. And there's literally everything you could possibly imagine, different channels for different products and things like that. And if you want to dip your toes in this channel, what I recommend that companies do is just kind of get in front of a whiteboard and think about your audience. If you are doing skincare, and just look for and search for different subreddits that you think could be relevant for your brand, and then just come up with a profile on Reddit. It's all free, and then start to just get involved in those forums. Don't come in and throw out promotional stuff, but just share good content. Like, hey, here's a tip on XYZ if it's skincare, or if you're selling protein supplements, you could have lifting tips or things like that, or different flavors or things. And it's very, very effective. If you get something to go viral there, you could pretty easily get a couple 100,000 people to see it. And again, it's free. It doesn't cost anything. And I've found it to be pretty effective. One caveat though, in these content subreddits, like I said, if you come in firing with % off or sales or things like that, you'll get self-corrected pretty quickly. The forums can be vicious places where they're sort of like, get out of here. Don't come in here with that. However, if you're in there for months and you're posting good stuff every week and you throw in something, that's not so bad, and they'll be tolerant of that, and it could be pretty good for your brand. And so that being said, there are a lot of deal-focused subreddits if that's the avenue you want to take. So there was a Black Friday one, almost 250,000 subscribers. It's actually typos here. The deals one's about 40,000, and the coupons one's about 50,000. So if you look at that, you're talking almost 400,000 or 500,000 subscribers, and these four Reddits in particular, you could very easily create a profile, in the next week and go on there and just share your offer. I will say that it all depends on a karma score. You have to kind of build up a little dialogue and earn a karma score over time, and that's how you rank in these different subreddits. So it won't go to the top right away, but over time you could be pretty effective here and definitely get a lot of traction. So these are two case studies that I thought would be interesting to share just from my personal experience. The one on the left is something that's reasonable and you could do and you could pull off, and it's I guess a low expectation one that did pretty well. And the one on the right is if everything goes amazingly perfect and you hit all the right channels. So the first one on the left is MyProtein, which is a pretty big protein brand in the UK and Europe, and they were trying to make inroads into the US. And they did a 33% off all protein, and it ran for a week. And I was able to literally get the top spot in a subreddit with 50,000 people, and it did 25 grand in 7 days, which is awesome. And they were really happy. And the best part of it was there was a lot of good dialogue there. There were people saying, well, I've never heard of this brand. Are they sketchy? Is this good stuff? And I was able to work with the brand team and share an independent review of protein powders and say, hey, this is a good brand. It's ranked #1 here, there. It was a great dialogue, and there was good discovery happening. The one on the right is an example of something that just goes nuts and goes viral. So this is the most recent Black Friday at 6 a.m. I posted this. It's a deal with Lenovo. It's 40% off laptops. It was going to run for 1 day. It ends at midnight. And I put it on a ThinkPad subreddit, a Build a PC subreddit, and then it proceeded to go everywhere. Slick Deals, Fat Wallet, etc. And it did, no exaggeration, $4.3 million in 1 day. So that's an example of the right time, the right place, really hitting it out of the park. But even if you're hitting singles on the left, I mean, 25 grand in 7 days is pretty effective, and you can kind of come up with a cadence where it's good for your brand. But again, at those really promotional times of the year, you can really nail something on the right, like we did with Lenovo. So just shifting gears to Twitter. It's interesting. I've probably run 5,000 promos, on these two channels, and I've learned some things about the Twitter algorithm that I've found pretty helpful. In my experience, there are a few things that it likes and a few things that it dislikes. And what's cool is the technology for affiliate marketing is catching up to the point where you can really use Twitter in a better way. So on the left, the things that it doesn't like are affiliate links, which is not very helpful. But I'll get into how you can get around that in a second. The other thing is redirects and tiny URLs and short URLs. Does not like them. Tweeting at sort of a spammy rate where you've got a bot involved and you're scheduling stuff, that gets devalued as well. The low follower count is kind of clear, and low tweet count is another one. And if your specific tweets aren't getting retweets and shares and things like that, you kind of get devalued. But on the right, what it does like is direct links. And what's interesting there is, 5 years ago, you didn't have an option and you're stuck using affiliate links and they're not really going to work well in Twitter. But now, on networks like LinkConnector and others, you are able to just track through a promo code. So you'll have a direct link like Lenovo.com with a promo code, and that promo code becomes the tracking mechanism through these networks. So you've got a nice, clean, direct URL on Twitter that'll rank high, and it's still being tracked through a network in real time. So it's sort of the best of both worlds, and it's really awesome how it's kind of caught up, and it's pretty helpful. Again, I guess a normalized frequency of tweeting, if you've got a regular cadence to your tweets and they're high quality, you'll be doing pretty well. An active follower account, not just buying a bunch of followers from a third world country and throwing them on there, just having actual engaged followers that are reading your tweets and the engagement metrics. I mean, those things are really helpful and will help you kind of play around and do well in that channel. One other cool thing I discovered about Twitter is, you think about all of these online sites and online brands, but if you're a big company, or even if you're a small company and you're, the local jewelry store, what I've found is pretty effective is you can do hyper-local marketing on Twitter. So I worked with Charlotte Roos, and they had a brand extension called Lemon Pop. There's only 5 stores in the entire country. They wanted to run a deal in only those 5 stores. So it's pretty challenging because you're just kind of blasting something out there and you have no idea who's going to see it. But what I actually did was I went on Twitter and I just did hashtags for those specific towns. And I know personally, I'd say 2 or 3 times a month, I'll check my town's hashtag just to see what's going on, local fire department or news and things like that. And this actually did very, very well. It got a lot of shares within the town and drove a lot of traffic. And what's cool is they could do in-store promo codes. So if you think you follow this up, you've got a deal here, and you could say, you know, bring promo code, you know, Twitter 20 into the store to get this deal. Mention that to the cashier. So it's cool. I mean, even if you're a Walmart or Home Depot, you want to bump up stores in a specific region or a specific town that are lagging, this is kind of an interesting tool for that. And if you're small, you can use it too. So keyword marketing, this is kind of what everybody knows on Twitter. And it's interesting because I see people, you know, spending so much money on Twitter that's just wasted when you can kind of get it for free. I ran digital at Staples for a while, and we bumped into this, and I met with the CMO, and we were trying to find ways to just basically do the same thing that we would get for the ad spend and just get it to rank anyway. So I think, you know, in this instance, I'd recommend, you know, if you're a smaller company, just kind of play around, you know, think back to the algorithm tips I just gave you, you know, build up a following and do all of that stuff. And if you do it right, over a period of time, you'll start to rank pretty high. Like with protein, I was in the #1 spot. I think it was for 7 hours or something like that. And then back to school, I think that stayed for almost an entire day. So you can imagine how powerful that can be, depending on your brand, the time of year, and the hashtag you want to use. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. So I'll hand this part over to Tara.
All right, thanks, Nick. So I'd like to now talk about 2 technologies that help to empower affiliates like Nick to confidently go out and broaden their promotion efforts in these social channels. The first we'll talk about is coupon code attribution. And I know you hear coupon and you think, well, this is for coupon affiliates then, but it's not. This is something that will work for affiliates, your content affiliates, your bloggers, your influence marketers. And as Nick had mentioned, this is something that there's no click and no cookie required for the tracking to work. From a network standpoint, we just need the advertiser to pass through the coupon code within the transaction, and that belongs to Nick. That's his coupon code. So when that comes in, we know to assign credit to Nick. So it really provides a great way for affiliates to now be able to promote in channels that in the past, like Nick mentioned with Twitter, not really possible. He said Reddit, and it can go offline as well. We work with a merchant Ironman store. They have trainers that are out there in the local gyms, and their affiliate manager has really harnessed the power of this and turned these trainers into affiliates. They just need a website. They sign up as an affiliate, but now in these classes, these training classes, these trainers are able to drive the offline traffic online, go to Ironman store, put in their unique promo code. So it's very, very powerful. And the transparent exposure of the merchant's brand into these social channels is another beautiful thing. Authentic, like you heard Nick say, there's dialogue that comes out of these communication on the forums and everything. So a transparent way, there's no affiliate link needed with this, and very authentic. And from an advertiser standpoint, now you are able to attribute the conversions to these specific social channels as well. If you want it to have a code only for Twitter or only for Facebook, so it really enables you to have that granular data to see, okay, where are my coupon codes converting best in these social channels. The automated reporting. Nick mentioned being able to have that in real time. That's also really powerful. Black Friday specials, like Nick said, you know, knowing right away, is it working, is it converting? For him to be able to have that data in real time is really powerful. And on the advertiser side too, you can go into the reporting and see which coupon codes are converting and how much so do I need to optimize it more so. So it's just a great way to help in providing the real-time data. And just to brag on Nick, he started working with one of our merchants, 2015, Global Golf. And in the first 3 months when he started promoting this, he converted with 989 orders, and then a year later, same 3 months, 60% growth there. And in the revenue also 110% growth year over year for those same 3 months, and an increase in the AOV. Their affiliate manager, Lauren, absolutely has really appreciated the exposure that Nick has been able to drive. And in 2016, just with Nick's promotion only, over $600,000 in revenue was generated. And the next technology that I want to talk about is cross-platform tracking. And this is something, you know, for an affiliate like ReviTrage that is out there in the social channels. So many of us, when we're on Twitter or Facebook, you're on your phone. So you might find Nick's ad or Nick's promotion of it on your phone, but then go back on desktop and decide, okay, now I'm going to buy that. So with the cross-platform tracking technology, this is something that some of the networks have, and this really enables an affiliate like this to not have the leakage there. Just, you know, a couple stats, 4 in 10 purchases are across multiple devices. This is just a snippet of some of the reporting within LinkConnector that shows the click started here on one platform and the conversion ended up here. So to have that crossover, but to be able to have that tracking is really beneficial for all parties. You know, as an advertiser now, you're able to attribute your orders rightfully so, and there's not any leakage across these multiple devices and platforms. It works across browsers too. Some folks may decide to do some review on Safari and then go back on Firefox and buy, so this technology works across the platforms as well.
So I just wanted to share some tips. We kind of covered them in the previous slides, but just at a high level, no matter what your company size is, you could be, you know, Home Depot, or you could be the local jewelry shop. I guess the big tip here is to have patience. It takes time to build up a karma score. It took me years. You can probably do it in 3 to 6 months if you're consistent about it. But if you think about the value there, it is free. It doesn't cost a thing. And if you put the time in, you put the effort in 6 months, you could have this juggernaut of a channel where you're consistently ranking high in these major subreddits, and it's not costing you a dime. It can be very effective down the road, and you know, you just build up that karma score and just keep it going. You'll have success. Like I said before, don't be too promotional. There's a cadence for everything, especially in the content subreddits. You got to be very, very careful. They will self-correct you out of there very quickly. The deal Reddits are a bit more forgiving, but don't drown them either. Timing is important. You know, if you want to launch a special promotion and you want to do it at 8 a.m. on Black Friday, I'd recommend not doing that because it's a very noisy day. Sunday's probably not the best. You know, you want to really time things where you're going to get the right amount of eyeballs and your competition's not going to be in your way. You know, I'd say keep it simple. This is a huge one. You want promo codes to be something like save 10 or take 10, not, you know, 4M, 9K2 or whatever. You want it to be able to go viral. You want it to be easy to share and text and go from there. This is huge. Whenever you push a promo out in these channels, you've got to have a self-destruct on it where it's got a clear expiration date. Because if you push it out and it does well, it could index and be there for a long time, and people could try to use that deal a year from now and cause, you know, potential customer service issues. So always, when you push something out, just have an expiration. I've found it helpful because of the way this tracking works to use multiple codes. If you're focusing on Reddit, you can still track by using, you know, Reddit 10 or Reddit 20 or whatever, and Twitter 10. It's kind of the old way they used to do it in magazines and direct mail. You're just tracking channels that way. You know, consistency is important. If you've got a banner ad that's 20% off, and you're going to kill yourself putting out a viral 15% off deal, that's not going to work very well because they're just going to get intercepted anyway by the banner ad. So whatever you put out there really needs to be equal to what's on the site. And then boundaries, I'd say, you know, I ran into this when I ran social at Staples. You don't want to step on anybody else's toes in your company. You know, make sure you're synced up with what the social team's doing, what the paid search team's doing, and you're not undercutting them with a more aggressive promotion and that sort of thing. And you know, lastly, I'd say give your affiliates the tools that they need to try things out like this. It's kind of a cool new way to do things. It sort of direct mail meets digital marketing in the affiliate world, and as you've seen from the case studies, it can be pretty effective. So, in summary, I guess this is my opinion on why you really shouldn't overlook this as part of your mix. In the end, this is an alternative to Google, which is very expensive and competitive. Search engine marketing is tough, and you spend a lot of ton of money on it. But this has no reliance on that, and it can actually be free, or even cost effective. You can get ads on Reddit for pennies per click, and be in front of hundreds of thousands of people. It's not going to last forever. I think the other powerful thing is this gives you the chance to directly engage with people. If somebody's asking a question about your brand or promotion, you can very quickly respond to them through Reddit and the other channels. Execute a promotion very quickly. If you think about this, you wake up in the morning one day and you want to push something out, within a half hour, you could have it in front of all of these channels. If you have the right karma score, you can get it up pretty high. And what I think is the best part of this is it's on your own terms. You kind of control the copy, you control the content, you control the timing, and you can kind of make sure you get it right, or at least your affiliates get it right if you give them that. So that's it for the presentation. I think we have 5 or 10 minutes for questions if you have any. Sure. I think you have to step up to the mic. So.
Hi, Nick and Tara. So my question pertains to analytics cross-channel. One of my issues is I'll have 100,000 visits, and I have all the conversions on that, and then I have another platform, but they don't sync up. So I'm curious to know what your solution is for the cross-channel data and to sync it up with Google Analytics as much as possible.
Yeah, it's tricky. I think part of the whole viral promotion with the direct links is it's not perfect information. It's sort of a double-edged sword. You're getting this crazy amount of viral traffic, and you can go into all of these channels, but the tracking's not perfect, and it's tricky to embrace. You can see on Google Analytics if it's coming from Reddit, right? And you can see if it's coming from Twitter. And you can probably look at your tweets and look at the engagement metrics on each of those, and it's a pretty easy cross-reference. If you're doing it for 100,000 data points, though, that's tough. I think are you part of any networks with your brand?
Yeah, we have quite a few.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you want to, believe it or not, it depends on the network you're on, and we can probably take it offline, but you'd probably want to work with them to see if you can sync that data up using a promotion like this, because it might be possible. It might actually be pretty easy, but I'm not sure.
Okay, and my second question is, do you have other ways besides promo code and shortened URLs for doing attribution via Twitter and Reddit?
Yeah, so the promo code's nice, and it's very easy to share, and it's very effective, but in a pinch, what does work is if you have a simple landing page like target.com/deal or home or something like that, that's okay. It's when you start getting question mark ref ID in there, like hash marks and things like that, that is what the Twitter algorithm can't stand, and Reddit will probably just delete it. It'll get rejected pretty quickly. So you want to keep it as clean as possible. So you can do it with landing pages. It's just a little trickier.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Anybody else? All right, awesome. Well, I'll be up here if you have any additional questions. And thanks for attending. And I'm supposed to remind you that to fill out your forms right there. And I guess they'll be randomly drawing 5 entries for a free pass to the Affiliate Summit East 2017. So thanks for your time, everyone.
Thank you.